Well, there's a couple of things there. First of all, there's the AI regulation that we're hearing about at the moment, the AI Act. It's not really tackling those sorts of things. This is very much risk-based on deployment and how we mitigate risk and how AI might be used for things like profiling or biometric surveillance. So that's sort of leaving aside, if you like, education or workers' rights or jobs. But of course, some of that does fall into it because if you've got for example, human resources AI that is looking at people's CVs and there's no human in the mix, that could be considered high risk because you want to know that you've legitimately been reviewed for a job or gotten a job. So in terms of skills and how AI might impact people's skills, I think that's being tackled at EU level, but it's not necessarily in the AI Act. In terms of training people to have more digital skills, there is certainly lots of work going on, but of course education is a national competency in the EU, so it's more being done on an education national basis. But we do see things like the cybersecurity academies, which are receiving a lot of funding across the EU to try and train people so that we have all those new skills. And I mentioned cybersecurity because if we've got AI, if we want to reduce the risk, we've got to have security as well. They're two sides of the same coin. There is a lot of efforts at EU level to make sure that those jobs are good jobs and that there are workers' rights are respected and that they've just got the same opportunities to reap the benefits of AI as much as the companies that are designing the AI video benefits. There's a few different ways that you could approach it. I mean, for example, something like a transcription tool is an AI tool that actually is really helpful. When I've got a really packed schedule and a deadline looming, I will use some AI tools maybe to help me transcribe an interview that I recorded or something like that. I don't just then leave that. Obviously, I have to be the human in the mix in that case and go through it and check it and fact check it. I think journalists feel that in some ways AI can be a helpful tool to do some of the heavy lifting, but ultimately you can't have AI journalists, that you have to have humans in the mix. I mean, older journalists like myself come from a tradition of ethical rules and frameworks and norms that we abide by in a way that maybe citizen journalists aren't aware of. And so there's possibly a little difference there in terms of what AI tools they use. And obviously, if you work for a big publication, you will have editors and fact checkers, and they will all be insisting that that's done by humans and not by AI. Nonetheless, I do know of some organizations who are using AI as a tool to help them tackle disinformation. Mostly, however, we see AI being used in these data farms to create deepfakes, to create disinformation in a very, very sophisticated, difficult to detect way. So for me anyway, personally, my fears are around that use of AI and how that might interact with my work as a journalist. But in terms of the actual tools, then I will use those tools in an ethical way if I can to get the work done.